Good afternoon. You're watching The Nation at 5. We are joining you right here from CNN News 18. My name is Toya. On this show, over the next hour, we're going to bring you a check-in of the temperature of the nation at 5 p.m. We're actually starting with breaking news that we're bringing you from West Bengal. We're learning that the NHRC has just issued a notice. Let me bring you more of the details and share them with you. You might remember that a few days ago we brought you the story of a young student. This was a student at the Jadavpur University in West Bengal. The student, according to the police, left his home on August 6th. They learnt of this incident on August 11th. The incident, according to police, at least from the angle at which the police was investigating it, was a ragging incident. They had yesterday itself taken 2 people into custody. Now we're learning that the NHRC has issued a notice, I believe, to university authorities. We'll have a reporter join us in just a little while to bring us more context on A, exactly what happened and what the investigations are finding out, and then of course B, the second aspect of this story, which is the NHRC notice. We'll bring you more details. All of these incidents, as we just told you, the incident itself and the follow-up took place at the Jadavpur University. This was in West Bengal. The victim's father said, because he has given multiple statements to the press since the incident, that A, he wishes when his young son had complained that he was facing troubles, he'd brought his son home. It's the family that has alleged that there seems to be some kind of ragging that was taking place. My colleague Kamalika is with us to bring us a lot more in terms of context on this story. Kamalika, good afternoon. Kamalika, just tell us first, what is the notice that the NHRC has issued?
See, the NHRC has given a notice to the West Bengal government and also to the registrars of Jadavpur University because it's the responsibility of register over the Kolkata, the ragging case which takes place. Now, we can say the ragging case now because prima facie 3 people have been arrested, and prima facie what we are getting it from the police source that some of the evidences or some of the circumstantial evidences say that it might be a case of ragging. So for that reason, this NHS has sent a notice to West Bengal government and register because they have to give a report to them. The UGC has also sought a report from the university authority. So this NHRC has taken a suo motu cognizance because of the media reports that has come up for Jadavpur University. And this is he's a victim of ragging and he died in 10th August. He was there found in the below the hostel second floor balcony. So these are the certain things which definitely puts a question on the work of the university, definitely, because there was an anti-ragging committee, but that anti-ragging committee was not working because otherwise this would not have happened. There is no CCTV in Jadavpur University. That's also concern area. So prima facie, what they feel that it should include the reason for the prima facie failure of the institution to take adequate steps to prevent ragging in accordance to the UGC regulations. Whatever UGC regulations have been there, did the university follow those? Because there were more people who were there in the hostel who already are passed out. The first arrest which took place, the Shaurav Chaudhary, he is an ex-student, and rather then also he was there in this hostel, and that raises a very big question. So, and what steps that they have taken to propose to punish the perpetrators of the ragging, including its fee? These 3 persons, they have been arrested like 2-3 days back. But till now, the university authority has not stated that what action has been taken against them. That's also a question. So, all these reports are sought by the NHRC from the register as well as from the government.
Okay, so Kamalika, let me just clarify with you. The NHRC, because we're telling our audiences they've given a notice to 2 different agencies here. One, obviously, they've given it to the government. They've also given, as we've just told our audiences, a notice to Jadavpur University. Now, you've explained why that notice was given to Jadavpur University. But the West Bengal government, is the primary reason they're seeing action because the NHRC is saying what's happened since August 11th?
NHRC prima facie is, asking from the government that what is the government doing in spreading awareness about the menace of ragging among the students, community and teaching institutions throughout the state. The Commission has also noted that the Supreme Court in the case of the University of Kerala versus Council Principals College, Kerala, has held the heads of the institution members of the administration mandatorily be penalized for not taking timely action against ragging, for failure to sensitize teaching or non-teaching staff or employees working in the hostels and the messes. Therefore, this is also a responsibility of the government. Therefore, a notice is also being issued to the DG of West Bengal regarding the status of the criminal case registered against. So, 3 people have been arrested. What is the ongoing process of that investigation? That also the NHRC has sought from the government. A further notice has been issued to the register. So, basically from the government, they want to know that what are the steps the government takes to set the awareness against ragging, and also to the GG to know that what is the status of the criminal case that has been initiated.
All right, Kamalika, thank you for bringing us those details. All right, this is the Nation at 5. We now want to bring you a check-in on meetings that have taken place earlier in the day today. At 9:30 a.m. today, the 19th level of the Corps Commander level talks took place. Now, this meeting took place in eastern Ladakh. On one side, obviously, you had India, the other, you had China. This is after 3 years of a military standoff between the two countries. The 18th meeting, this is the 19th, the 18th meeting took place in April. We're now on the screen behind you, going to walk you through details. So that you're prepped, we're going to then have a reporter join us to tell us more about what took place in the meeting itself when it took place early today. Remember, this is after the Galwan Valley clash that took place. This was in 2020. Now, the two sides have attempted to meet. There is the attempt through these meetings. All right, I'm just going to very quickly show you. These are the 2 points that we're going to be talking about in just a second with our reporters. One is Depsang La, as it's known, and the other is Demchok. Now, Depsang La, as we're focusing on, it's a tabletop plateau, 16,000 feet altitude. It's both here, and in just a second, we're going to focus on Demchok, but we'll keep here for a second. The PLA actively blocks Indian soldiers' patrol in this area, and that remains the primary issue, both in Depsang and in Demchok, that our Indian soldiers are not able to patrol in areas that were previously agreed they should be able to patrol on. Demchok, which is, as we've just shown you, on eastern Ladakh. Remember, this is around where the LAC is, at least the western part of the LAC. The Indian PLA troops engaged in a standoff, and it's in this region too that the PLA blocks access. It continues to block access to patrolling points. So since 2020, buffer zones have been created. There is some disengagement that's taken place along, as we just said, the LAC. But these two areas in particular remain points of concern. All right, in the next set of information we're just going to play out for you, I'm going to now have a reporter join us in just a second and shed light on all of the developments that took place in today in particular. But let's take a look at what's happened since 2020. Number one, as we're telling you, 68,000. The estimation here is between 68,000 and 70,000 troops have actually been airlifted to these points on the LAC. This is how India has better prepared itself after what took place in 2020. As you can see over here, 90 tanks. We're going to be bringing you more details. 330 BMPs. You have, of course, the Rafale jets. And there's been, and this is the Su-30 MKI, there has been the IAF that has coordinated in efforts here. Jaguar jets too. We'll have my reporter join us in just a second to shed light on just how aircrafts like the MiG-29 have been used. Sorties continue to take place. So if you take a look at the numbers, there's been no reduction in the number of sorties that have been taking place over the last 3 years in this entire region, even though the reports we get continue to indicate that the escalation has reduced. Now, C-130J, as you can see, Super Hercules, the C-17, the Globe Master, these are all being deployed by the IAF. Artillery guns are also being used. There's radar systems that are being used to man and to secure these areas. Now, my colleague Akash is with us to bring us more context on this entire story. Akash, we know that the 18th such talks, the 18th Corps Commander talks, took place in April. And at that point, the Indian side was focusing on the same 2 points in eastern Ladakh. Can you just tell our audiences, Akash, what is the progress? So since 2020, when the Galwan Valley clashes took place, give us a timeline of the positive advancements that have taken place through these talks, and what are the big challenges that remain?
Right. So first of all, starting from 2020 Galwan clash. So yeah, you see, at that time, the main argument from Indian side was that several sort of agreements between India and China were violated. And when we say that violation of agreement, so we mean the demarcation of border and also the patrol points. We had in total, in fact, this is not the official figure, but, as far as experts are concerned, so they say that after Galwan, we had total 7 friction points. Patrol point 15 was one of those 7 friction points. And now, till 18th round of commander level talks, we had 5 friction points solved with mutual agreement. In this mutual agreement, we have buffer zone strategy working, and then we have, mutual understanding that, okay, your troops can come up to this particular point, your troops can come up to this particular point. We will be notifying each other about our patrol times and all other things. There are several sort of protocols as far as, these patrollings are concerned, and several sort of communication happen on a regular basis. Now, talking about these two specific areas that you are talking about, Joya, Depsang and Demchok, these two areas are the point of discussion even today. Today, while we are talking, a core commander level talks are going on in Eastern Ladakh area, and these two areas are the main point of concern from both the sides. Now, other than the core commander level talks, Toya, we have several diplomatic level talks as well, because I remember that even when we had this 18th round of commander level talks, soon after these 18th round of commander level talks, we had SCO summit. SCO meeting, in fact, where, it was categorically mentioned by India. In fact, Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, that China cannot expect us to behave normally or can have normal relations with India, given the fact that whatever happened in 2020 was unfortunate. One. Second was violation of the agreements. Two. And thirdly, India wanted a status quo. India wanted China to go back to the original position, go back to a pre-Galwan position. And this is what our stand is as of now. However, from Chinese side, it has been mentioned that, in fact, they are not, in fact, accepting that there was some sort of a violation. In fact, they are not even mentioning the word disengagement and de-escalation. They have never mentioned these words. They were mentioning about diplomatic relations. They mentioned about strengthening diplomatic ties, but they did not acknowledge the violation. They did not acknowledge that whatever happened in 2020 was unfortunate. Today, this particular meeting is very important, Toya, because you see, we are going to have G20 in September, but before G20, we have BRICS, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to meet a president of China. Both the leaders are expected to have diplomatic talks, and this is the reason why before that, there are attempts to solve the particular situation at core commander level. Now, when we say core commander level, so, at around 9:30, we have been told that these talks are started, and in fact, MEO officials and ITBP officials are a very part of this particular meeting that is happening as of now. We don't know the latest update, but yes, till 1:30 or 2, the meeting was on. And, several officers told us that, in the past, we have seen that meeting went on for late evening, in fact. So we still don't know as to how much time will it take and, what will be the possible outcome. But definitely this time, everyone is hopeful, because this is the 19th round, where problem is the same. Problem is that, India want the solution. India want those troops to go back to the previous positions, to the original positions, while China is very adamant and, is not accepting the fact that they have actually violated the agreement.
Okay. All right, Akash, if I can just ask you to stay with us. We have General A.K. Sinha, who's also with us right now on the show. I want to go over to him for his expert opinion. Sir, as my colleague Akash was telling us, it's too early to tell our audiences what the outcome of the 19th Corps Commander level talks that are taking place right now, what the outcome of that is. But sir, I just want to ask you, could you just explain to our audiences, when we can see in the 18th, the 19th talk, that what India is asking for hasn't changed. It's still those two specific locations in Eastern Ladakh that we're focusing on. What can India do to push the conversation forward? What is India's bargaining chip in such a conversation?
Good evening and Jai Hind to you. Yeah, this is the 19th. We have to understand and underscore 19th. Means 18 talks have taken place. There has been, breakthroughs. There has been breakthrough in number of, clash points or where we had the dispute, where the things have, actually gone as per our way, the way we have discussed and the way we perceive. There are friction points, especially in Eastern Ladakh, where, the things are not getting solved. But, the Chinese agreed and yielded, whatever we wanted to do it when we have gone to Kailash range after what happened 2020, the Galwan clash. We have gone Kailash ranges and we have done it. So Pagangso area, if you see in those friction points, we had something. They have gone back. It was a major. They have gone back to finger 8. They were claiming up to finger 4. They have gone to finger 8. It was a major breakthrough. There have been also, hot spring area. There has been major breakthrough. What we are talking about, today is the Y junction and those areas basically on those patrolling points, number 13, 14. Now, the details are there. We are also talking about the Chumor area. So the point we have to understand, now our stands are not the same. These are not there for de-escalation and to go back. Now what our stands are? Our stands are there that has been told to Chinese loud and clear by diplomatically. It has been told by number of times by the foreign minister that our relation with China depends on what is happening on the borders. With the Chinese always have been trying to dilly-dally on it. So it has been enlarged. Even now, it is not only in the Ladakh area. The Yangtze has been, added. Arunachal has been added. So talk is particularly, as of today, it is happening in those areas, in eastern Ladakh. But it has been absolute in our term, and Chinese are under tremendous pressure because they are losing ground. That is the...
General, just stay with us for a second. I want to now, you were just talking right now about the diplomatic relationship between both the countries. I want to go over right now to Aman Sharma. He's our political editor. He's with us on the show. Aman, can you just tell our audiences, because I want to break this down for them. We know that we are about a week away from Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping of China meeting in South Africa for the BRICS summit. India has been very clear, diplomatically speaking. First you solve this issue, then we'll have diplomatic talks. But in practicality, when the two leaders are face to face, how much of that actually applies?
See, I think the talks which are happening right now between India and China, the military talks are very significant, Toya. Significant in the terms of their timing. One, this 19th round is happening almost 4 months after the 18th round. It's happening just a week before Prime Minister Modi and President Xi are supposed to meet in South Africa, and later the Chinese president is also coming to India for the G20 summit, the Leaders Summit on September 9th and 10th. There seems to be some urgency on both sides to have some resolution on this standoff, which has been on for the last 3 years. In fact, what top sources in the government are telling me that from the China side, there are feelers that they want to resolve this now. So far, China has been steadfast in the position it has held, but there are increasingly signals that China also wants to resolve this. So what the talks are happening today, obviously we don't know what will come out of it, but India is expecting some forward movement in these talks. Also, this point that China is facing now a double, in a way, a challenge on both the fronts with Taiwan as well as India. And second, the growing India-US strategic alliance. This is something that China has taken cognizance of, that India feels it has. And that is also a bargaining chip that India has. One must also remember that on the LAC, though the perception is that China has, got some advantageous position, India also has advantageous positions at certain points on the LAC. So China is very bothered by that. In fact, China has been pressing India to go back from those positions. But Indian soldiers with great bravery and, a lot of commitment in very adverse circumstances and terrain have managed to stick on to those advantageous positions for almost 2.5 years now. So India also, it's not only that India wants to push China back, China also wants India to be pushed back from certain locations. It's a mutual negotiations have been going on, and as you know, the Despang plains are the main contentious area, which is being discussed today as well. Both sides want to do patrolling there. So to what extent each side can go and patrol, that is the main contention. So these are the major things I think which are being discussed, and India, I must tell you, is very hopeful for some forward movement at these talks because of the upcoming other two big level meetings which are expected in a week's time and then in a month's time. So India is expecting that something positive is going to come out of the talks this time.
All right, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. Aman Sharma, thank you for joining us and bringing us that context. All right, we're going to move on very quickly from this story to a different story altogether. We're getting breaking news related to a story that's been developing over the last few days. This is, I believe, a story that's coming in from Chennai as we speak. All right, the developments, as we just told you, are coming in from from Chennai. Now, let me just bring you a little bit of context. Over the last few days, what we've seen take place is a resurgence of the controversy around the NEET exams. What you have had happened is you have had M.K. Stalin, who is the Chief Minister of the state of Tamil Nadu, make a number of statements when it comes to the NEET exams. Essentially, you had a student commit suicide, supposedly because of the pressure that he was facing when it came to the NEET exams. A few hours after that, we learned that that his father had also committed suicide. Now we're learning that there's much controversy. You've had the Tamil Nadu government. Purnima, this Purnima is our reporter. She's with us right now. Purnima, you had told us earlier in the day today that there have been a back and forth when it comes to statements that have come from the DMK government when it comes to the NEET exams after this development. You're bringing us more breaking news now. Could you share it with us?
Well, it all started with the governor, in fact, saying that he will never ever sign the anti-NEET bill. After that, we've seen DMK senior leaders, the Chief Minister himself, hitting out at the governor's statement, especially at a time when the father-son duo died by suicide within a span of 24 hours in Chennai itself. And now the DMK says that because the governor has been sitting on the NEET bill and NEET has impacted many people in the state, they have decided to boycott the tea party that will be hosted by the governor tomorrow evening in view of Independence Day. And they say that this is one form of opposition that they will show by, in fact, boycotting the Independence Day tea party, and says that the standoff with the governor will only escalate with the governor sitting on many important bills, including the anti-NEET bill.
All right. Thank you, Purnima, for bringing us that context. This is a story we're going to continue to bring our audiences updates on. These are developments taking place, as we told you a little while earlier, in Tamil Nadu. It's time right now for a short break. On the other side, we continue to bring you more stories. This is The Nation at 5 p.m. on CNN News 18.
Ahead of Independence Day and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Home Minister Amit Shah is actually unfurling the tricolour at his home. He has started off the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, and ahead of the Independence Day, the 77th Independence Day, we are talking about that. And for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, after flagging off the Tiranga rally in Ahmedabad, has now unfurled the tricolour at his home himself. Now, this is the big move by Union Home Minister Amit Shah, unfurling the Tiranga for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign ahead of that 77th Independence Day, because this is the eve of 77th Independence Day. And for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, as I was telling you earlier, Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolour at his home with his wife, as you can see in the visuals that we are flashing on your screens as well. And Amit Shah actually flagged off Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad as well on August 13. He flagged off the Tiranga Yatra started by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The event was actually celebrated as many young citizens gathered around the place, many of them carrying the Indian tricolour flag with them as well. And to give us more details on that, I have CNN News 18's Arun Dhanta joining me on the phone line. Arun, a very good morning to you. So this is how Union Home Minister Amit Shah is celebrating Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year. Arun, can you hear me? I think we lost connection with Arun over there. We'll try to connect with him again, but this is what we are learning so far, and we are showing it on your screens as well, the visuals of Union Home Minister Amit Shah unfurling the Tiranga at his home for Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year ahead of the 77th Independence Day, on the eve of 77th Independence Day as well. As you can see in the visuals that Union Home Minister Amit Shah for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign has unfurled the Tiranga, and as I was telling you earlier that he flagged off the Tiranga Yatra started by Prime Minister Modi in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and that particular event was celebrated as many young citizens were gathered around the place, many of them carrying the Indian tricolour flag with them as well. And Amit Shah addressed the nation at the event and instilled a sense of patriotism in everyone who was present at that particular event. And right now, what we are telling you is that he has unfurled the tricolour at his home for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. Welcome back and thanks for staying with CNN News 18. We have a breaking news coming in as India is all set to celebrate its 77th Independence Day tomorrow. This is the eve of 77th Independence Day tomorrow, and we are going to show you the visuals of Union Home Minister Amit Shah actually unfurling the tricolor Tiranga, and ahead of Independence Day and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home. Remember, he flagged off Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad as well, and right now what we are showing you on your screen is Union Home Minister Amit Shah actually unfurling the Tiranga for that Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. And ahead of Independence Day, the 77th Independence Day that we will be celebrating tomorrow, and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Union Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home. As you can see in the visuals as well, he has been accompanied by his better half, and ahead of Independence Day and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, they are unfurling the tricolor, and Union Home Minister Amit Shah is there with his wife to unfurl the tricolor at his home. This is a big breaking news that Union Home Minister for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign has unfurled the tricolor at his home. He sort of has started the campaign himself, and we'll see other leaders unfurling flags at their home as well. But right now what we are receiving is that ahead of the Independence Day, the 77th Independence Day that we'll be celebrating tomorrow, and the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Union Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home. As I told you earlier as well, Amit Shah flagged off Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad earlier, and right now, as you can see in the visuals as well, he has unfurled the Tiranga at his home. And ahead of Independence Day and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Home Minister Amit Shah is actually unfurling the tricolor at his home. He has started off the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, and ahead of the Independence Day, the 77th Independence Day, we are talking about that. And for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, after flagging off the Tiranga rally in Ahmedabad, has now unfurled the tricolor at his home himself. Now, this is the big move by Union Home Minister Amit Shah, unfurling the Tiranga for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign ahead of that 77th Independence Day, because this is the eve of 77th Independence Day. And for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, as I was telling you earlier, Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home with his wife, as you can see in the visuals that we are flashing on your screens as well. And Amit Shah actually flagged off Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad as well on August 13. He flagged off the Tiranga Yatra started by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The event was actually celebrated as many young citizens gathered around the place, many of them carrying the Indian tricolor flag with them as well. And to give us more details on that, I have CNN News 18's Arun Dhanta joining me on the phone line. Arun, a very good morning to you. So this is how Union Home Minister Amit Shah is celebrating Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year. Arun, can you hear me? I think we lost connection with Arun over there. We'll try.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5 from right here at CNN News 18. We're changing tracks slightly from the national focus stories we've been looking at in the earlier part of the show. We're now going to a cricketing story. Yesterday, as you might already know, particularly if you're a fan of the game, India lost to the West Indies. This was a 5-match series, and it's in the 5th game in particular that India's fans were particularly downtrodden and brokenhearted for 2 reasons, they say. A, according to them, the leadership of Rahul Dravid provided as coach, and of course, the leadership of Hardik Pandya, the captain. We're going to take a deeper dive into this entire story. We're going to look to understand what the causes are and what can be done for future games. First, this is what the coach Rahul Dravid had to say. Take a look.
Yeah, I mean, I think you run through different formats, so sometimes it's really hard to, I think almost each format in its own way is slightly different. Obviously very pleased with the test match, a little bit disappointed that we couldn't force a result in the second one due to rain and weather, so we lost a few points there, but I thought we played really well to get that result. The one days was good as well. We were looking to try out a few things with the World Cup and the Asia Cup coming up, a couple of big one-day tournaments coming up for us. So, I think the goals of that tournament were slightly different, what we were trying to achieve, and it was glad, I think we learned some good lessons from that one-day series and got the right result. Here as well, I think, we did well, like you said rightly, to come back from 0-2 down, and but we just couldn't sort of close out the series today. We made a few mistakes, along the way. If you look at all the 5 games, I mean, there were some mistakes that we made.
The Indian cricket team suffered a series of historic firsts and setbacks in the T20 International Series against the West Indies, a team that has failed to qualify not just for the upcoming 50-over World Cup, but had also failed to qualify for the last T20 World Cup last year. Despite a valiant comeback attempt led by Hardik Pandya, the young Indian side ultimately fell short in the decider match, yielding a 2-3 series loss to the West Indies. India has now lost a T20 International Series for the first time in 25 months, succumbed to a bilateral series against West Indies after 17 long years, and faced a defeat in 3 matches within a T20 International Series for the first time in history. In the final match, India chose to bat first and posted a total of 165 for 9. However, the West Indies displayed dominance in their chase with Brandon King's unbeaten 85 of 55 and Nicholas Puran's 47 of 35 balls, forming a formidable partnership that steered the West Indies to victory. They chased down the target in just 18 overs, clinching the series with 8 wickets in hand. Pandya, India's captain, accepted responsibility for his performance in the decider, citing a missed opportunity to capitalize on a crucial period in the game. Commentators echoed the sentiment that the Indian team lacked fire and hunger for wins, contributing to their series loss. Somebody like Venkatesh Prasad, for example, was very critical of both the captain and the coach and questioned if the right men are being selected for the job. With their sights set on the upcoming Asia Cup and the ODI World Cup, the Indian cricket team faces a period of introspection and strategic planning. The series loss highlighted the need for a renewed sense of purpose and determination within the white ball team.
Okay, all right. To take a deeper dive into this story, we have sports journalist Chetan Narula is going to be joining us in just a second to bring us more context on this story. Chetan, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us here on the show. Chetan, can you tell our audiences, one of the key sort of expert opinions that has emerged after the match that took place yesterday is this one line. It's that the captain, Hardik Pandya, treads the fine line between confidence and complacency. Do you agree with that statement? What are your thoughts?
Well, kind of agree and kind of disagree as well. I mean, I, for one, don't want to blame Hardik Pandya completely for this loss because if you look at the way the Indian team management, which is the selectors and the support staff, including coach Rahul Dravid, the way they have planned this series, it's keeping in mind the Asia Cup and the ODI World Cup. It's been experimentation for that and not so much for the T20 World Cup last year or even the context of the series. I mean, they only had 8 batsmen in the squad for a T20 series. They didn't have too many all-rounders. Shardul Thakur and Ravindra Jadeja were rested. Akshar Patel was batting at number 7. So, in a way, Hardik Pandya had one of his hands tied behind his back. Yes, some of his decisions on the field were really baffling. But I don't think he had complete confidence in the players who were there on the field. So, for me, the bigger blame lies at the doorstep of coach Rahul Dravid and the selectors who picked a side which was, I wouldn't say inferior to the West Indies, but probably not well equipped to compete in these conditions.
Okay, so I now want to ask you, when you take a look at just lists of what went wrong on Sunday, there are a few different causes that people will say. Number one, that the batting order just totally fell apart. Number two, that you had cricketers who were out there performing, but they weren't given the kind of support that they needed. Right now, you said that you would lay the blame, if you had to, on the coach's hands. How would you have strung it differently, played it differently, and where do you think the key points were where things went wrong on Sunday?
Well, like I said, I mean, the onus has been on the experimentation for the Asia Cup and the ODI World Cup. And quite a few players in that 15 or even in the playing 11 were picked based on that particular experimentation. Right. I mean, yes, you have to rest Ravindra Jadeja, you have to rest Shardul Thakur, you have to rest Siraj, and etc., etc. You have to rest key players, keeping their workload management in mind for the Asia Cup and the ODI World Cup. But this IPL has thrown quite a few names in terms of all-rounder positions, and they could have been included and they could have been tested, especially keeping the T20 World Cup next year in mind. So I think if I had to select differently, I would have probably picked a couple of more all-rounders based on their IPL performances this year. There are 3 or 4 names that spring up instantly to mind. So probably they could have tried. I mean, the Indian selectors in the recent past, have tried to pick players based on T20 form alone. And they've tried to keep the ODI selection away from it. But this time the lines just completely got blurred, and I think the result is in front of us.
Okay, I have one more question to ask you, and this is a question that here in our newsroom was quite a cause of discussion. Many have looked at our performance over the weekend and said that we are ill-prepared for a World Cup. But others have argued that because the World Cup that's coming up soonest is the ODI, we shouldn't look at the T20 performance as a determinant of that. What do you think?
True. I mean, I would not be too bothered by this loss, to be honest, because like I said, the lines have been completely blurred in terms of ODIs and T20s. So from that perspective, I'm not worried about this particular loss. But overall, considering the performances, especially the batsmen, because these batsmen are the same ones who are going to be picked for the Asia Cup and the ODI World Cup, barring maybe Tilak Verma or Yashasvi Jaiswal. The rest of them are going to be picked for the Asia Cup and the ODI World Cup. Their performance in the ODI series before this against the West Indies was not good enough. Their performance collectively as batsmen in this series has not been good enough. So I echo your newsroom's thoughts that the preparations for the ODI World Cup and the Asia Cup are not really in sync with the kind of performances that have been put out. And it is, for an Indian fan, I think it is time for, for a bit of a worry at the moment.
All right. Thank you so much, Chetan, for providing your perspective. Okay, here at The Nation at 5, we've taken a look at different stories around the country, but we would be remiss if we didn't talk about right now the situation in both Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. That's going to be our next focus right here on the show. Over the last few days, both Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh have been lashed with heavy rainfall. As we speak, there is red alert in several districts. Landslides have been caused because of that heavy rainfall. 5 people have been left dead. The SDRF teams have been deployed in different parts of the state. Now, we're going to continue to bring you different ground reports. As we told you, we have reporters positioned on the ground in both states that are bringing us minute-by-minute updates of the situations. We're learning, at least from the weather department's officials, that the situation isn't supposed to improve anytime soon. Rainfall is going to continue tomorrow too. First, take a look at these ground reports.
जी हाँ, देखिए अभी हम मौके पर हैं राजधानी शिमला के साथ जो समरिल लगता हुआ इलाका है उसके पास ये शिव बॉडी इलाका है। एक शिव मंदिर देखिए भूस्खलन की चपेट में आ गया है। अभी जो रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन है वो किस तरह से चल रहा है, ठीक ये जानकारी निकल कर आई कि 7 साढ़े 7 बजे के बीच जो है ये लैंडस्लाइड हुआ। उस वक्त मंदिर में लोग पहुंचे थे, पूजा करने लोग पहुंचे थे और कुछ स्थानीय लोग यहाँ पर मौजूद थे और कुछ वर्कर भी थे। तो उस वक्त ये भीषण जो है लैंडस्लाइड यहाँ पर हुआ है और ये तस्वीरें देखिए। ये अभी जानकारी दे दें कि अभी 3 जो बॉडीज हैं वो यहाँ से रिकवर कर ली गई हैं। उसमें दुखद खबर ये है कि 2 उसमें बच्चे भी शामिल थे। जो स्थानीय लोग हैं वो ये बता रहे हैं कि 25 से 30 लोग जो है यहाँ पर हो सकते हैं। ये स्थानीय लोग बता रहे हैं कि कम से कम 25 से 30 लोग यहाँ पर हो सकते हैं दबे हुए। एक और यहाँ से राहत भरी खबर देखिए ये निकल कर आ रही है गृहा कि ये बताया कुछ लोगों ने कि जहां पर आपको ये लोग नजर आ रहे हैं इसके ठीक नीचे अगर कैमरे की नजर से दिख रहा हो कि यहाँ पर एक घर जैसा आपको कमरा जैसा नजर आ रहा होगा, ये मंदिर का पार्ट है और इससे अंदर से किसी को फोन आया है कि शायद कुछ लोग जो है अभी जिनके जिंदा होने की संभावना है, हालांकि उनका फोन बंद हो चुका है। ये बताया जा रहा है शायद 6 से 7 लोग बताए जा रहे हैं कि वो अभी अंदर हैं और सुरक्षित ऐसा माना जा रहा है। तो कोशिश जो है यही है कि किसी तरह से उन्हें यहाँ पर जो है सुरक्षित निकाला जाए।
4 कच्चे मकान यहाँ पर थे जो लैंडस्लाइड की चपेट में आए और नीचे दब गए। इसके अलावा 4 से 5 और मकान यहाँ पर हैं, वो पक्के मकान हैं लेकिन लैंडस्लाइड हुआ है, खतरा उनको बना हुआ है। घरों के अंदर जो लोग थे 4 लोग वो मलबे के नीचे दब गए हैं अभी क्योंकि मलबा निकाला जा रहा है। पेड़, बड़े बड़े पेड़ लैंडस्लाइड के कारण आए हैं जिसके कारण रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन में दिक्कत आ रही है। पहले पेड़ों को हटाना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद फिर मलबा हटाया जा सकेगा। पेड़ क्योंकि ऊपर से गिरे हैं, ठीक मेरे पीछे आप देख सकते हैं। अब तो इसीलिए दिक्कत आ रही है और यही कारण हुआ जब रेस्क्यू करने के लिए लोग यहाँ पर पहुंचे हुए थे तो सेकंड लैंडस्लाइड आया और उसके नीचे लोग दब गए। अब उसके कारण फिर ज्यादा नुकसान हुआ है। अब यहाँ पर आप देख सकते हैं बड़ी संख्या में हालांकि एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं और रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन कंटिन्यूअस है। अब लगभग 1 घंटे से यहाँ पर कंटिन्यूअस रेस्क्यू ऑपरेशन फुल फ्लैज चला हुआ है। लेकिन अब जिस प्रकार बार बार लैंडस्लाइड आ रहा है और
ये देखिए ये वो पुल है जिसकी अप्रोच रोड इस बारिश में ध्वस्त हो गई जाखन नदी के उफान के कारण। ये पुल की अप्रोच रोड पूरी तरह से ध्वस्त हो गई और अभी भी जिस पोर्शन में मैं हूँ ये पूरा अंदर से खोखला है। ये कभी भी ये पूरा का पूरा हिस्सा यहाँ पर ध्वस्त हो सकता है। आप ये देखिए कि पूरी तरह से ये पूरा, मैं कैमरा पर्सन से कहूँगा कि एक बार वो पूरा नदी का हिस्सा दिखाने की कोशिश करें कि किस तरह से ये जाखन नदी ने यहाँ पर विकराल रूप लिया। आप देखिए करीब 700 से 800 मीटर चौड़ा फाट यहाँ पर नदी का है। इसके बावजूद पानी में इतना वेग था कि उसने अप्रोच रोड का करीब 100 मीटर हिस्सा पूरी तरह से ध्वस्त कर दिया। पूरी नदी में जगह जगह आपको पेड़ उखड़े हुए मिलेंगे जो इस बात का गवाह हैं कि यहाँ पर रात के समय कितना तीव्र प्रभाव पानी का रहा होगा। और निचले इलाकों में इसके बाद और भी तबाही का आलम है। जो रिस्केज से आपने अभी दृश्य देखे, पहाड़ों से आपने दृश्य देखे, वो इसी तरह के दृश्य हैं जिसके चलते लोगों को भारी मुसीबतों का सामना करना पड़ रहा है। अभी तक इस पूरी डिजास्टर में 15 जून से अगर हम मानसून काल की बात करें तो इस 2 महीने में 60 से अधिक लोगों की उत्तराखंड में मौत हो चुकी है, जो अपनी जान गंवा चुके हैं। इसके अलावा 17 लोग अभी भी मिसिंग हैं इस पूरी आपदा के दौरान। तो मानसून की बारिश की एक एक बूंद उत्तराखंड पर कहर बनकर टूट रही है। अमनदीप, आप देखिए कि ये पुल जो ध्वस्त हो गया, हालांकि अभी जो PWD के ऑफिसर्स हैं वो यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं। उनसे जो हमारी बातचीत हुई, उनका कहना है कि 2 से 3 दिन के भीतर इस पुल को रिस्टोर कर लिया जाएगा, इस अप्रोच रोड को। लेकिन जिस तरह के हालात मौसम के बने हुए हैं उसमें बहुत संभव ये बात लगती नहीं है कि 2 से 3 दिन के अंदर इसे रिस्टोर किया जा सकेगा।
सर, अभी तक क्या जानकारी निकल कर आई है कि कितने और लोग हो सकते हैं और कितनी बॉडी अभी रिकवर की जा चुकी है?
5 शवों की शिनाख्त हो चुकी है। 20-22 के करीब लोगों के दबे होने की खबर है। प्रयास ये है, आर्मी को बुलाया गया है, ITBP को बुलाया गया है, NDRF की टीम को बुलाया गया। प्रयास ये है कि कुछ जानों को बचाया जा सके। इस दृष्टिकोण से ये प्रयास जारी है। यही आशा है कि वो जिंदा हों और उनको जल्दी से जल्दी निकाला जाए। मेरा ये मानना है कि जो जिंदा बचाया जा सके, सभी टीम को यहाँ लगाया गया है। पुलिस, मिलिट्री, ITBP, होम गार्ड, SDRF, सब टीम को यहाँ लगाया गया। देखिए, हम तो बार बार कह रहे हैं और बार बार प्रयास करते हैं, और पिछले 24 घंटों से जो बारिश ने कहर बरपाया है, उस बारिश से कहर से पिछली बार संपदा को नुकसान हुआ था। इस बार लगता है कि काफ़ी जानें हमको, काफ़ी जिंदगी हमको छोड़कर चली गई है।
At least 20 people have been left dead in just Himachal Pradesh. We're focusing on 2 states right now. It's time for a short break. This is The Nation at 5. We'll return in a few minutes with more of the country's top stories at this hour.
Brought to you by
again, but this is what we are learning so far, and we are showing it on your screens as well. The visuals of Union Home Minister Amit Shah unfurling the Tiranga at his home for Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year ahead of the 77th Independence Day, on the eve of 77th Independence Day as well. As you can see in the visuals that Union Home Minister Amit Shah for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign has unfurled the Tiranga, and as I was telling you earlier that he flagged off the Tiranga Yatra started by Prime Minister Modi in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and that particular event was celebrated as many young citizens were gathered around the place, many of them carrying the Indian tricolour flag with them as well. And Amit Shah addressed the nation at the event and instilled a sense of patriotism in everyone who was present at that particular event. And right now, what we are telling you is that he has unfurled the tricolour at his home for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. Welcome back and thanks for staying with CNN News 18. We have a breaking news coming in as India is all set to celebrate its 77th Independence Day tomorrow. This is the eve of 77th Independence Day tomorrow, and we are going to show you the visuals of Union Home Minister Amit Shah actually unfurling the tricolor Tiranga, and ahead of Independence Day and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home. Remember, he flagged off Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad as well, and right now what we are showing you on your screen is Union Home Minister Amit Shah actually unfurling the Tiranga for that Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. And ahead of Independence Day, the 77th Independence Day that we will be celebrating tomorrow, and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Union Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home. As you can see in the visuals as well, he has been accompanied by his better half, and ahead of Independence Day and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, they are unfurling the tricolor, and Union Home Minister Amit Shah is there with his wife to unfurl the tricolor at his home. This is a big breaking news that Union Home Minister for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign has unfurled the tricolor at his home. He sort of has started the campaign himself, and we'll see other leaders unfurling flags at their home as well. But right now what we are receiving is that ahead of the Independence Day, the 77th Independence Day that we will be celebrating tomorrow, and the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Union Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home. As I told you earlier as well, Amit Shah flagged off Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad earlier, and right now, as you can see in the visuals as well, he has unfurled the Tiranga at his home. And ahead of Independence Day and for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, Home Minister Amit Shah is actually unfurling the tricolor at his home. He has started off the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, and ahead of the Independence Day, the 77th Independence Day, we are talking about that. And for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year, Union Home Minister Amit Shah, after flagging off the Tiranga rally in Ahmedabad, has now unfurled the tricolor at his home himself. Now this is the big move by Union Home Minister Amit Shah, unfurling the Tiranga for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign ahead of that 77th Independence Day, because this is the eve of 77th Independence Day. And for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign, as I was telling you earlier, Home Minister Amit Shah is unfurling the tricolor at his home with his wife, as you can see in the visuals that we are flashing on your screens as well. And Amit Shah actually flagged off Tiranga Yatra in Ahmedabad as well on August 13. He flagged off the Tiranga Yatra started by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The event was actually celebrated as many young citizens gathered around the place, many of them carrying the Indian tricolor flag with them as well. And to give us more details on that, I have CNN News 18's Arun Dhanta joining me on the phone line. Arun, a very good morning to you. So this is how Union Home Minister Amit Shah is celebrating Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year. Arun, can you hear me? I think we lost connection with Arun over there. We'll try to connect with him again, but this is what we are learning so far, and we are showing it on your screens as well, the visuals of Union Home Minister Amit Shah unfurling the Tiranga at his home for Har Ghar Tiranga campaign this year ahead of the 77th Independence Day, on the eve of 77th Independence Day as well. As you can see in the visuals that Union Home Minister Amit Shah for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign has unfurled the Tiranga, and as I was telling you earlier that he flagged off the Tiranga Yatra started by Prime Minister Modi in Ahmedabad, Gujarat, and that particular event was celebrated as many young citizens were gathered around the place, many of them carrying the Indian tricolor flag with them as well. And Amit Shah addressed the nation at the event and instilled a sense of patriotism in everyone who was present at that particular event. And right now what we are telling you is that he has unfurled the tricolor at his home for the Har Ghar Tiranga campaign. Welcome back and thanks for staying with CNN News 18. We have a breaking news coming in as India is all set to celebrate its 77th Independence Day tomorrow.
संतोष का विषय है और किस तरीके से देश को मार्गदर्शन मिलता है जो आगे चल करके हमें याद रहता है, वो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी ने 14 अगस्त, अगर हम 15 अगस्त मनाते हैं तो उन्होंने 14 अगस्त मनाने का भी आह्वान किया ताकि हम याद रखें कि यह आजादी हमको कितने घावों पर मिली है। विभाजन विभीषिका दिवस हम मना रहे हैं। हमें मालूम होना चाहिए हमें मालूम होना चाहिए कि यह जो आजादी हमें मिली इसकी कीमत क्या थी, किस आधार पर मिली, कितनी तकलीफों पर मिली, मानवता का क्या हुआ। शर्मसार हुई 1.5 करोड़ परिवार 15 से 20 दिन के अंदर उनका विस्थापन होना, 10 लाख लोगों का मरना, हजारों की संख्या में रेप केसेस, हजारों की संख्या में सुसाइड्स। सिर्फ अपनी आबरू को बचाने के लिए हमारी बहनों ने सुसाइड्स किए, यह भी हम लोगों ने देखा। तो यह जो उन्होंने स्ट्रगल की है उसको याद करना ये देश का धर्म बनता है और हमारे लिए इन बातों को समझ करके चलना यह भी हमारी जिम्मेवारी है। आज ये बात दीगर है कि जब हम 75वें साल पूरा करके 76 साल में हम एंटर कर रहे हैं तो प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में इकोनॉमी में हम 5वें नंबर पर खड़े हैं और दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी के रूप में खड़े हैं और मदर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी के रूप में खड़े हैं। को ध्यान में रखना चाहिए, लेकिन हमें ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि इतिहास किस तरीके से चलता है और किस बातों को याद रखता है। 1906 में मुस्लिम लीग की स्थापना हुई थी 1906 में, और 1909 में उन्होंने सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट की डिमांड कर दी थी। 3 साल के अंदर ही उन्होंने सेपरेट इलेक्टोरेट की डिमांड कर दी थी, और 1916 में लखनऊ पैक्ट हुआ था। यह पैक्ट मुस्लिम लीग और इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस के बीच में हुआ था, और इस पैक्ट में यह कहा गया था, फिर वही देखिए कि अपने स्वार्थ के कारण, अपने स्वार्थ के लिए, निजी स्वार्थ के लिए पावर शेयरिंग कंसेंसस के साथ, और कंसेंसस ही नहीं कंसोसिएशनल तरीके से, रजामंदी से कांग्रेस ने और मुस्लिम लीग ने तय किया कि हमारे यहां इलेक्टोरेट धर्म के आधार पर होगा, रिलीजन के आधार पर होगा, और उसके आधार पर हमको रिप्रेजेंटेशन मिलेगा प्रोविंशियल काउंसिल में। यह कांग्रेस ने मान लिया था। मैं अब इसको जोड़ता हूं। 9 अगस्त को गांधी जी ने क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट की बात कही थी, और 2023 में 9 अगस्त में प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा तुष्टीकरण क्विट इंडिया। यह तुष्टीकरण है।
You're watching The Nation at 5, and we're actually now taking you to a story that we've got coming in from the state of Karnataka, where the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivkumar has put out a statement. You might remember that in Karnataka over the last few weeks, the BJP has been alleging that the Congress is indulging in corruption. Essentially, there is the Contractors Association in Karnataka that last year had alleged that the BJP government was indulging in corruption. Now, the Congress government that was newly in charge had said they wanted to investigate all of the contracts that the previous BJP government had undertaken. Now, that statement by the Congress had drawn some controversy, with some contractors saying and some BJP leaders saying that the Congress was trying to indulge in corruption further. This back and forth has continued. Take a look at what the Deputy Chief Minister had to say, then we'll connect with reporters.
It is a fact that you people also benefit in a very way that Assams have done a very big wonder. I have not given any contract to anyone. I have not given contract to anyone, or I don't know it. Some of them came to me for asking the bill which was at the BJP regime. Congress party has taken a policy that let us look into those cases individually. If they have done, definitely we are bound to give, we will give. Why did not BJP give the bills at their tenure? I am feeling sorry for the contractors. How they have been misused, how they have been collected, how they have been embarrassed. Everything I know. All the contractors have the same.
Okay, my colleague Ritu joins us to bring us more context. Ritu, just 2 days ago, we'd seen the Deputy Chief Minister make a statement to the press, say that if any of these allegations against his government are proved that it is corrupt, he would resign as the Deputy Chief Minister. Now we've seen another statement from him. He's essentially saying the same thing again. None of the allegations against my government are true. Ritu, tell us, what is the Congress government's plan? Are they essentially going to go ahead with what they've said they're going to do, which is go back and check all the contracts that the BJP government undertook? Ritu, are you able to hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right. Ritu, can you tell us, we've just played out for our audiences what the Deputy Chief Minister had to say to the press. He's once again reiterated that his government is not doing anything that is related to corruption at all. Are they going to go ahead with their plan where they've said they're going to check every contract that the BJP entered into when the BJP was running the government? They're going to see if there was any corruption undertaken. Is that what the plan is? How are they going to do that?
Yes, as you rightly mentioned, you see the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka being very firm of what has been decided from his side. So he says that the decision has been made in favor of the contractors itself. It's the BJP who is in fact doing all this and in fact also instigating these contractors to go against the government and come out and do make such statements as well. But however, what the Deputy Chief Minister D.K. Shivakumar says that all the wrongdoings of the BJP need to be set right, and that's the reason Congress has come to power in the state, and thus the 4 panels that have been formed by the government will go ahead and investigate all the contracts before clearing those pending bills. So needs to be seen where exactly things had gone wrong and how is that the government in fact went on to sanction that huge amount while the work was not done inappropriate to that huge amount as well. So all that needs to come to the light. So what D.K. Shivakumar is saying is that give some time, and it's also a matter of a time that once the things are all very clear, he will be the same person to come out and say what exactly went wrong when the BJP was in the power and what Congress has done right now with the contractors issue.
Ritu, can I just ask you to clarify the allegations that the Congress government has had to see? Have those allegations come from the BJP or from any contractor association that the Karnataka Congress is indulging in corruption? Who made those allegations?
So if we try and look at the background, then of course the contractors, you remember when they had approached the governor to intervene into this matter. So the contractors in their memorandum, if you really see there, they go on to mention that a few of the contractors have also told the association that the Bangalore Development in charge minister, who's the D.K. Shivakumar, in fact, has asked allegedly a 15% commission to clear their pending bills. So that's when this whole the issue came to light. And that's when the BJP also picked this issue and went on to use that, in fact, in favor of the party and go and raise slogans against the Congress party as well. We did see the kind of innovative, in fact, unique campaign that the BJP also came out recently, where the former higher education minister Ashwath Narayan had called the Congress government as in the ATM Sarkar of what exactly is happening, because earlier there is an allegation that was made on the agriculture minister Narayan Swamy, and then now D.K. Shivakumar in the spot. So that's how this whole matter came to the light. But now what we are also given to understand is that you remember the BBMP Contractors Association President Manjunath, who went on to allege this, in fact, has now said that he is the Contractors Association in specifically has nowhere made this kind of a statement. So he is now taken a U-turn as well. But as needs to be seen, how is the government, of course, going to make things very clear? Because one thing is very clear, whether it's the Karnataka State Contractors Association or for that matter BBMP Contractors Association, both of them are against the state government's panel formation to investigate these irregularities. They say that one, of course, why is the government trying to digging into the 2019 contract? Because there will be one or the other aspect where the contractors might not have those documents and they would, in fact, be in a trouble. Their bills will not get clear. So that's the reason they are against the state government's panel formation, however.
Ritu, thank you for laying that out for our audiences. That was a story coming into you from Karnataka. We've brought you stories from across the country over the last 1 hour. Thank you for watching. This was The Nation at 5. I'm going to be closing off. My colleague Anusha Soni is joining you next at 6.
India's #1 news channel moves to a new destination. A never-seen-before news ecosystem in the history of India.
An unrivaled news studio
that elevates the viewer experience.
Unprecedented camera views
from a spectacular newsroom.
One-of-a-kind studio pods takes you to an unseen digiverse. A marvelous news station that echoes aspirations of New India. Get ready to be stunned by Asia's biggest news television station. CNN News 18 is here to back a power punch. CNN News 18 is here to alter your digi perspective.
CNN News 18 is here
To revolutionize newscast. CNN News 18 is here now and for the future. CNN News 18, Asia's biggest news TV station.
Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching Viewpoint. I'm Anusha Soni. The proposed changes to the Indian Penal Code, Criminal Procedure Code and the Indian Evidence Act. You'd remember these important provisions that were laid down on the floor of the House and were referred to a select committee by none other than Union Home Minister Amit Shah. These proposed changes have rigged up their share of controversy. Apart from political jibes over the intent of these reforms or changes being proposed, the substantial changes that the three proposed laws that they bring in are also under intense debate and scrutiny. Home Minister argues that with these changes, the law of sedition will be scrapped. One example that I give you. Mind you, the law already has been put in abeyance by the Supreme Court of India. Apart from that, the introduction of a penal provision against mob lynching, addition of a new chapter that enlists crimes against